Only do what's in my job title? Fine, good luck paying employees. By Epic Sausage 69. So I work for a construction company as an inventory admin. My job is to basically schedule counts of our warehouse and input the numbers they give me for inventory. Then try to see what the problem is when the numbers on the last count and the current count don't add up. There's a little bit more to it, but I won't bore you with the specifics. The problem with this job is that when you have been doing it long enough and are good at it, there's less work to do. In the beginning, when counting one rack out of 60 racks of material would take a few days, it was fine because I was always busy. But now that everything is in order, the entire warehouse can be counted in 3 days. This leaves me bored for most of the time. So to fix this, I studied up on our cloud-based ERP service that we use for all internal and external transactions and have become sort of an expert on it. Every single aspect of this company uses this ERP service to do their job. Timesheets, HR, payroll, accounting, scheduling, management, manufacturing, ordering from vendors, delivering inventory, and so on, all runs through this ERP service. So it's very important that this service is up and running perfectly 24/7. I became so proficient in this service that our VP decided to cut ties with our consultants of the ERP because I could do what they did, but better, quicker, and much cheaper. For reference, we were paying these consultants $5,000 a month just to be on standby if we needed them for some sort of problem that could arise from using the ERP, and had to dish out more money to fix those problems depending on how many hours of their time was spent to fix said problems. Not sure on their exact rate, but it was something like $200 an hour, and they took weeks to fix anything, while I could fix the problem in time for my daily afternoon number 2 break. I never got an official job title or raise of any kind for being an expert on this service. The company just saw me being able to do it and let me fix things that happened, so they no longer needed the outside help. I wasn't too upset because it gave me something to do, so I was glad to help the company save money, even if none of that money fell my way. Skip ahead a few months. We now have a new warehouse manager, and someone in the warehouse messes up something in inventory by sending a bunch of materials to the wrong job with no records of it being shipped. We are talking $500,000 screw up here. In the same day, our ERP had an update that caused a bunch of bugs with our accounting department. So I decided to work on the ERP problem first because the warehouse screw up is more of a daily screw up and not actually stopping anybody from doing their job at the moment, while this accounting problem means our bills are not able to be paid. You can guess what kind of issues we'll have if bills are not paid. The ERP bugs turn out to be quite big and numerous, so it ends up taking me a couple days to figure out. But I can fix it before any bills are actually due, and decided to take lunch a little early to celebrate a victory. Crisis averted. New warehouse manager storms into my office after I get back from lunch and is livid. Apparently, the bosses were pinning the blame on him for the warehouse screw-up. And considering he is the one who oversees shipments and personnel in the warehouse, the blame is rightfully placed. He starts laying into me, asking why I have not fixed this problem yet, yelling and screaming like a child. I tried explaining that I was fixing an ERP issue and have not had time to look at the warehouse problem yet. He gets even more angry and notes that it's funny how I have time to take early lunches but not to do my job. That started to tick me off, but I held my tongue and kept calm about the situation. He then ordered me to only do what is in my job title and to leave the ERP BS to the people competent enough to handle it, as he put it. Since this guy was technically my supervisor, I had no choice but to obey. I asked him to send me that in writing, and he snarks and storms back into his office. 5 minutes later, I get an email stating that under no circumstances am I to work on anything related to the ERP unless it involves inventory. Cue malicious compliance. I do nothing but inventory from that point forward, knowing dang well that we would be essentially coasting until we hit a problem that I would refuse to fix. Sure enough, not even a week later, I get an email from HR that some sort of bug in the ERP system was preventing them from accessing payroll to pay employees this week. I reply an apology that I am no longer able to work on ERP bugs due to supervisor and to refer to the ERP system help guide for further assistance. I knew the help guide was not going to help her in the slightest, but it was no longer my problem, so I was not going to deal with it. Skip a few days later to Friday. I checked my bank account in the morning before getting to work and laughed because there was no money deposited. That problem never got fixed. I hurry up and get to work, excited to see the chaos unfold. And what I was expecting was an understatement. When I show up to work, I see the entire warehouse staff of 50 people walking out the front door. I stopped one and asked why they're leaving, and he replied with, "I didn't get paid today, so I'm not coming back until I do." I go into the office and see the warehouse manager in a panic. He has jobs that need material and nobody to load it onto trucks or deliver. I ask him if he needs help with anything, and he just screams at me to leave his office because he's getting phone calls out the butt from superintendents of jobs asking why our material has not arrived yet. I pass by HR on the way to my office and see a bunch of the bosses huddled up over her computer with their angry and confused expressions on their face, I guess trying to figure out the problem. I felt bad for her because it really was something out of her control, but I knew she would ultimately be okay because she had been there for so long that they would never fire her. When I get to my office, I see the VP waiting for me there. He has a very ticked off expression on his face. When we get inside, he demands to know why I did not fix the problem in HR when she emailed me about it. I replied that I'm no longer allowed to work on ERP problems as it's not in my job title. He has the most shocked look on his face and asks why all of a sudden I had a change of heart. I show him the email from warehouse manager and I could see the dots connect in his head. He immediately storms out and I see him heading straight to the warehouse manager's office. They were in there for a few hours, but eventually he comes back to my office. He seems calmer now and asks me politely if I can fix the problem in HR and if I can resume fixing the ERP if needed. At this point, I liked the relief of responsibility and told him I would only do it if he put it officially in my job title along with a raise. His calmness turned to anger again and he says, "I cannot believe you," as he storms out and returns to his office. A few hours later, he sends out a mass email that he has hired the old ERP consultants to fix the problem, and that next week, everyone would be paid for the money they are owed, along with the money they earned if they return to work. This one surprised me, as he would rather pay over $60,000 a year to consultants than give me a few extra bucks an hour for better work. I think he expected me to change my mind and just do it for my own paycheck, but I decided to wait because I know how these consultants were, and if they managed to fix this problem in a week, I would streak naked through the office. Most of the warehouse staff agreed to return, but were still upset about not getting paid. Sure enough, next Friday comes around. Nobody gets paid again. At this point, it's becoming a real problem and the entire staff is becoming agitated. They have bills to pay. I even heard a bunch of the warehouse talking about some competitors nearby they could go work for. At this point, I even considered just fixing the problem because the warehouse didn't deserve to be treated like that due to poor management. Maybe I'm the a-hole here for this, but I'm severely underpaid and I can barely afford my apartment. There's no reason I should do extra work for free. That same day, the VP returns to my office and hands me papers. These papers said that I would be promoted to a newly created position that dealt with inventory and ERP upkeep. It would be its own department and he would be my direct supervisor, and it also came with a hefty raise. All I had to do was sign and agree. I looked up at him after reading the paper and he had the saddest look on his face. Look, please just sign it. The consultant said it would take them weeks to get around to fixing it due to the high volume of the clients they've taken on, and we can't keep skipping paychecks. I happily signed it and immediately got to work on the HR issue. Managed to fix it that same day. It was just a simple problem with the permissions of HR and payroll in the ERP due to the update. Boom, OP took that horizontal promotion, shifted it right up to vertical, had a better lifestyle, more raise, and just everybody wins here if your name is OP. Nice job, dude. 3 separate bags, posted by Ancient Educator 76. As some of you may know, I work at a Mendy's drive-thru. There's been a lot of changes lately that frustrates the customers, the employees, and then another vicious cycle of customer-employee frustration for a cascade of various other reasons. It's like a beautiful waterfall that's running directly over the front of your face, making your lower lip come down, making you look weird and ugly, and you can't breathe because of the constant flow of water. It seems like it could be something good, but it all depends on where you're standing. The drive-thru people are standing at the worst possible spot, pummeled by our beautiful water. But I digress. A lady orders 3 baggy bags, which has got to be one of the funniest wrong names for products since that time a guy called the Baconator a Terminator. I ask her which ones. We have 3 options, and she says, a baggy bag, you know, the only one you have. Wow, we're off to a swimming start. At this point, I would usually be sarcastic, snide, or petty, but I've been learning from these YouTube videos how to interact with people properly, so this has helped me get rid of, or at least postpone, this sort of behavior in myself. I found it very helpful for moments like these, and I use this newfound social knowledge to simply explainagize that we have 3 options to choose from: the Boonier Jakin Bees Churger, the Stubble Dak, or the Kispy Cricken BLT. She said, the Stubble Dak, duh! Oh, and you idiots always never listen to me. You need to put those things in 3 separate bags. Okay. Now she called me an idiot, and I really don't want to lose my crap, and my coworker can feel it in my voice, trying not to sigh and giving myself a breathing problem as a result. She helped me deflect by saying, oh my goodness, can you believe this woman? Sounds like my aunt. I hate my aunt. With a little help from my friends, I don't say what I want to say and say, separate bags, you say? Preposterous. I just simply go, separate bags? You got it. I said it the way I would describe what I had for breakfast, another thing I learned from Tom Hardy. She then replies, look, MFer, 3 separate bags, and drove off screeching her car, which hurt my ear immensely. This really set me off. Even if I wanted to say something back to this lady, I couldn't. I saw her car swing around the bend and almost hit the car in front of her. My ears were still ringing. Time for some much needed malicious compliance. 3 separate bags? You got it. So the baggy bag comes with the drink, fries, nuggets, and a sandwich of your choosing. I beg Bruce, my manager, to let me bag this one. He heard that BS this lady said, so he reluctantly nodded and waved his hand toward the station. I wash my hands, glove up faster than I ever have before, and put all the fries in 1 bag, all the burgers in the 2nd bag, and all the nuggets in the 3rd bag. She gets to the window, and the driver looks very pleasant. Not what I expected. The passenger, not so much. She leans over the nice one and says, y'all got that in 3 separate bags? Sam, my cohort, hands the bags out and says, yep, 1 to 3. The driver looks in the bags and tries to hide a smile while shaking her head, turns to the passenger who looks in the bags and says, are you freaking serious? Oh my gosh. She yells at the driver to say, just go, and the driver screeches off again, still smiling. It's kinda nice to ruin one person's day while making another's. Who am I kidding? They'll probably forget about this 10 minutes later. I never will, though. Oh, person, please be nice to OP, making your food, giving you in your 3 separate bags as you requested, and please do not be a Karen today, or well, any other day for that matter. Thank you very much for listening. Is anybody else hungry now?